Welcome back to SIUSalukis.com alongside Mike Trude. I am Luke Martin here recapping some Saluki football fall camp. Mike, this will be an offensive segment for us. We'll focus primarily on that in a moment, but we just witnessed the first scrimmage of fall camp. Just overall, what were the biggest takeaways that you had from the small sample size here this evening?
Yeah, I like the way the defense is playing. They are flying around, getting to the ball, getting multiple people to the ball. Some individuals stand out. Dude has just been amazing. The nose for the football, Zach Barola, the nose for the football. Linebackers have really been a focal point to me that they are just ready to play this year. Offense, when they were doing the short yardage situations, were doing well. They moved the ball fairly well. Defense, I think, is always going to have an advantage at this time of the year. Offense still probably hasn't had enough reps to get everybody on the same page with every single down.
So let's switch it to the offense now. We know about Nick Baker, his experience level, the records that he's about to break. He's going to redo the record book by the time it's done. But, man, he may have the most weapons that he's ever had during his time here. And that's saying something because it's not like he's had lack of weapons in his career.
No, the cupboard has never really been bare for Nick. But I think this may be the deepest group of receivers that he's had in a long time. It starts with Deontay, got back for his 6th year, which is great. He was the leading receiver a year ago, just edging out his twin brother Avante. You've got Zach Gibson, who's really not amongst the top 3, but made some huge catches last year in critical situations. The transfer Vincent Davis from Charleston Southern. And how good is it to have number 5 back this year, Isaiah Hartrip, who did not play all last year, was questionable for just about every game last year, wasn't able to go at all. He's back at full strength, and those 3, Davis and Hartrip and Deontay, are probably the 3 best overall to start a year that Southern's had in a long time.
I feel like, Mike, the 2 biggest areas to watch if you're a Saluki fan are going to be up front, the offensive line and the depth that is being built there, but also tight end. Jacob Garrett and Tice Daniels had 2 productive seasons last year, and they're both gone.
Yeah, so Aiden Quinn is getting the bulk of the number 1 reps right now, but there are 2 or 3, 4 other guys that are all in the picture, but I think Quinn has the most experience of anybody coming back from a year ago. That was a position that was used very well by the Saluki offense a year ago in the passing game. You know your tight end's going to be able to block, and some block better than others, but Southern really utilized the tight ends in the passing game last year.
We had our preview a week ago. One of the areas you wanted to see was the running game continue to form. You brought up early on, there's so many names you can look at. Jalen Benefield's been a good addition from Eastern Illinois. We know what Ro Elliott has done during his time here. Justin Strong, when he has been healthy. Jalen Reed has looked impressive at times as well. LaShawn Lester, too. I mean, I think there's a stable there for Coach Warner and what he's going to have to work with offensively.
Yeah, and I think you need a stable anymore. As we look at what Rowe and what Justin did the last couple of years, none of them played a full season. So you're going to have guys getting banged up, missing a game here, missing a game there. But to have 5 and maybe even 6 capable guys, and you didn't even mention Caleb Wagner, the true freshman out of Florida, who I don't think he'll be redshirted this year. You're allowed to play 4 games and not be considered playing in a season. You can redshirt by playing 4 games. But the numbers that they have at that tailback spot this year are a lot, and I think it's going to be necessary because, again, guys get banged up all the time. Strong is very good at catching balls out of the backfield. Benefield was used today in the scrimmage in catching balls out of the backfield. So I think that the passing game to the backs is going to continue, and the more the merrier for Nick Hill in the backfield.
And it seems like for the offense to be successful this year, it's going to depend on how many naps that Coach Clark gets, right?
I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. Coach Clark and I have a very unique relationship. I want to keep it like that. But it's the horses up front that are going to be the difference. And 4 out of the 5 guys who started a year ago are back with this team. Derek Harden, another guy, is also back with the team. And then they brought in some very capable junior college players. They brought in a lot of freshmen. They've got 20 guys in that offensive line right now. That's a lot to choose from. I imagine 8 to 9 to 10 will be in those rotations, more depending on how injuries go, but it's nice knowing you have 4 out of your 5 starters back in an area where You've got a sixth-year senior back at quarterback. That consistency is so important. And if those guys improve as much as we think they were capable of improving, Southern's going to be able to run the ball again.
Well, that is a look at the Saluki offense. Next week, when we come back here at Saluki Stadium, we'll talk about that Saluki defensive side as Antonio James taking over on the defensive side with the defensive coordinator. So for Mike Trude, for everybody with SIUSalukis.com, I am Luke Martin. We'll talk to you next week.